Hi, my name is Connor Crosby, and today I'm going to show you a few ways you can selectively crop part of an image in Photoshop. Now, I did upload a similar tutorial a few years ago, but since then I've received multiple questions and people asking me to go more in depth. So, to help you out, I have decided to make a brand new tutorial. There are multiple ways you can selectively crop part of an image in Photoshop. Just to name a few, you can use the marquee tool, one of the lasso tools, magic wand tool, paintbrush, eraser, pen tool, and more. But in this tutorial, I'm going to focus on some of the tools I use to get the job done. This video will cover the polygonal lasso tool, quick selection tool, and paintbrush tool. If you're watching this on YouTube and there's a tool you want to specifically see, click on that option now. I'm using Photoshop CS6, but most, if not all, of these tools should be available in your version of Photoshop. So here I've got an image of an eagle. I figured this photo would be great for this tutorial because of the contrast between the bird and the background. The first tool we're going to look at is the Polygonal Tool, which is this icon right here. If you don't see this icon by default, it might be hidden under another option. The Polygonal Tool allows you to easily create a custom shape selection around an object in your photo. But before you begin, you need to make sure your photo is a regular layer and not a background layer. Head over to the Layers palette and look at your photo. If it says background, you need to make it a regular layer. Double-click on the layer or right-click and choose Layer from Background. Name it whatever you want and press OK. Next, make sure the Polygonal tool is selected and start clicking around the object in the photo you want to keep. To keep this video short, I'm going to load a selection I have already made. Now that you've selected part of the photo you want to keep, you need to invert the selection to remove what you don't want. You can do this by going to the Select menu and choosing Inverse. It might not look like Photoshop did anything, but if you look around the edge of the photo, you'll see what are called dancing or marching ants. Pressing the Delete or Backspace key on your keyboard will remove the unwanted part of the image, replacing it with tiny gray and white squares. This means this part of the image is transparent. The next tool we're going to look at is the Quick Selection tool, which might be hidden under the Magic Wand tool. This tool is very similar to the Magic Wand tool, but allows you to quickly and easily select multiple parts of the image. If you're working with a big image, you can increase the size of the tool by either adjusting the size up here in this drop-down window, or by pressing the right bracket on your keyboard. To decrease the brush size, press the left bracket. Now click and drag to select everything you don't want to keep. If you accidentally select part of the photo you want to keep, don't worry. You can remove part of the selection by switching the tool to Subtract from Selection up at the top. Or you can also use the Option or Alt key on your keyboard, which will temporarily allow you to use the Subtract from Selection tool until you let go of the key. Once you've selected everything you want to remove, make sure your photo is a regular layer and not a background layer, and press the Delete or Backspace key on your keyboard. The last tool I'm going to show you is the Brush tool. This is actually my favorite option. Now you might be wondering, why use the Brush tool? Isn't that just going to paint over my photo? Well, not quite. Let's take a look. First, make sure your foreground color, the color on top, is set to black, and the bottom, the background color, is set to white. Now activate the Brush tool and head to the Brush options at the top. Set the hardness to 70%. This will provide just a slight feathered edge, which will look really nice. Okay, now one last step before we start painting. Select the photo and add a mask using this button down here. This is what transforms the Brush tool to basically a non-destructible eraser. Once again, make sure you have black set as your foreground color and start painting away what you want to remove. Just like the Selection tool, you can easily increase or decrease the brush size by pressing the right or left bracket respectively. So here's what makes the Brush tool different from the eraser. Say you're busy removing the unwanted part of the image and you accidentally paint over part of the image you want to keep. Well, with the eraser you would have to undo all the work you've done. But with the paintbrush, all you have to do is switch the foreground color and background color. You can either do that by pressing the arrow right here or pressing the X key on your keyboard. This will make white the foreground color. Now just paint over what you want to keep and you're all set. Press the X key again to make black your background color again. When you're done using the brush tool, quick selection tool, or polygonal tool, open up the new background photo you want to use and click and drag the edited photo to the background photo. And that's it. 3 ways to selectively remove part of an image in Photoshop. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for stopping by.